My name is Winifred Level. As you can see, I have with me in the studio public affairs analyst. He is and he's also a publisher, Dr. Austin Mahmoud. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah,
So
pleasure
last
to
week
be
you
here.
were conspicuously absent.
Conspicuous. That's a big word.
Conspicuously absent. Good to have you back, by the way.
Yeah,
That was
thank
a
you.
trip.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
as you can see, we wasted some few minutes because of technical glitches, but we are here right now. And of course, you can see we have an array of newspapers on the table for discussion. We'll start with leadership, Nigeria's most influential newspaper, as we always do. Leadership is leading with the story on the Dangote refinery that was commissioned yesterday by President Muhammadu Buhari and other stakeholders, some presidents of other states, country. We have Shawolu and other eminent personalities. Let's see how leadership couched this leading story. 16 years after Blue Star setback, Dangote lives his dream. 16 years after Blue Star setback, Dangote lives his dream. Accolades as Buhari commissions Africa's largest refinery in Lagos. Uh, Dr. Austin, many people keep saying in the world, why some will say Africa? Why is that so? It's like there doesn't seem to be.
Confusion.
Yeah.
There should be no confusion. Actually, the refinery is rated as among the top biggest two refineries in the world.
In the world.
And of course, the refinery is unique on its own because there are, it's the when at times you look at the capacity, people may judge it based on the capacity.
Yeah.
Dangote refinery is a 650,000
Yeah. 1,000
barrel per day capacity, single train.
single trip.
Yeah, that makes it the largest in the world.
Yes.
But there are other refineries
That
in the
have
world
plenty train.
that have more than one
One
train,
Yeah.
when it comes to
Okay.
processing.
Mm.
So you have to look at some technical details before you know that is the largest or the largest in Africa. But I can tell you, without missing word, that the refineries are among the three biggest.
Okay, you are going to be talking about it just after this newspaper headline, because all the papers, incidentally, have the story on their cover today. So let's continue with leadership. Like 16 years after Blue Star setback, Dangote lives his dream. Accolades as Buhari commissions Africa's largest refinery in Lagos. Who said what? Project will transform Nigeria's economy, PMB. Dangote hails CBN governor over efforts to complete project. Dangote came to Lagos with nothing 45 years ago, says Sanwo-Olu. $23.3 billion spent to import petroleum products in 2022, Emefiele. Still on leadership, we have above the leading stories, no live broadcast of tribunal proceedings, court says at Obi. Above the masthead, we have, leadership has started the Victorian State House reporters recall memorable inauguration moments of presidents. So it's on page 7 of leadership today. I know you don't want to miss that. You can just log on to the website www.leadership.ng. We move over to the behind them, just beneath the head picture story. We have FAAN order. Private jet owners yet to move aircraft from Abuja Airport. Children's Day, leadership presents logo competition today. Just after this program, we already have children in the studio, and this guest set to present their logo for this Children's Day. I know you don't want to miss that either, so just log on after Inside Nigeria. We move over to the page 3 of our leadership, and that is our stand. Our stand is on visa ban on politicians that were alleged to have rigged or manipulated the election processes in February and March by the US government. And leadership is having its editorial on it. Visa ban not enough. Visa ban not enough. We move over to the back page of leadership. Tuesday column with Ray Murphy, an appraiser of the Buhari presidency. Of course, Ghana must go. El-Rufai deposes two Kaduna monarchs, sack three district heads. News. And Ghana must go replied, he's distributing parting gifts. You have to find that. That is really funny. Log on to the website for more on leadership. We have also interesting stories in inside pages. www.leadership.ng. www.leadership.ng. From leadership, we move over to the next paper on our menu, and that is Blueprint. Blueprint says $18.5 billion Dangote refinery game changer for Nigeria's economy. Buhari. $18.5 billion Dangote refinery game changer for Nigeria's economy. That is Buhari. According to Buhari, plan to process 650,000 barrels per day, generate 135,000 jobs. Dangote CBN. Operation will be based on international best practices. That's leading story on Blueprint newspaper. And above that, we have ahead inauguration. Supreme Court decides Tinubu Shettima's fate, May 26. Ahead inauguration. Supreme Court decides Tinubu Shettima's fate, May 26. And Asiwaju APC oppose move to consolidate Atiku Obi's petitions. So it's on page 6 of Blueprint newspaper. We have just also beneath the leading stories a picture. Is incidentally is also the same picture that is gracing the covers of other papers today. That is the commissioning of the Dangote refinery by President Muhammadu Buhari yesterday in Lagos. We have suspected headers killed 18 in Benue. Magban alleges killing in Plateau. Naira at risk of devaluation sinks to 462.93 at official market. El-Rufai deposes Iraq Pirigi monarchs. Women judges closer to 35% affirmative action. NAWJN. Edo Varsity sacks professor, 12 others over extortion, sexual harassment. That is all we can take on Blueprint newspaper. Just log on to the website www.blueprint.ng. From Blueprint, we have Vanguard. Vanguard says $21 billion revenue, 200,000 jobs coming from our refinery, Dangote. $21 billion revenue, 100,000 jobs coming from our refinery, Dangote. Says first products will hit market in July. Refinery a game changer, Buhari. Facility will impact Nigeria's economy positively, Emefiele. Lagos provides best opportunities for investors, Sanwo-Olu. Our investment in Dangote refinery strategic, Abakari. We have presidential poll, why tribunal rejected live coverage. You'll find that on the Vanguard newspaper on www.vanguardngr.com. From Vanguard, we see the Nation. The Nation says petrol, diesel orders to flow from Dangote refinery July. The Nation breaks it down. Petrol, diesel orders to flow from Dangote refinery July. 40% of output from the 650,000 barrel per day facility for export. The highlights. Buhari leads other presidents to inaugurate $18.5 billion facility. Tinubu competent to sustain economic gains, says president. Project to generate 12,000 megawatts of electricity. $30 billion to be saved annually on forest. You see more stories as you log on to The Nation, www.thenationonlineng.net. And we have second Niger Bridge, 6 other projects for inauguration today, page 25 of The Nation. And of course, we have why tribunal rejected motions on live telecast. The quote is, the requirement that the court sits in public does not mean that it should sit in a stadium or in a marketplace. The sensitive and delicate nature of election petitions should not be compared to the trials of O.J. Simpson in the US and Oscar Pistorius in South Africa. The law provides for the shielding of the identity of witnesses in election cases. Tinubu APC oppose consolidation of PDP, Labour Party, APM petitions. Above the masthead, we have Sirika, more heads to roll in aviation agencies. 6 days to go. Sirika, the aviation minister, says more heads to roll in aviation agencies. 2.2 billion naira terminal takes off. Tinubu will support Navy, says Buhari. President reviews assets. President signs social investment agency bill orders. El-Rufai sacks two Kaduna monarchs. For more on the stories, you just log on to the website. We move over to The Punch. The Punch says Dangote refinery petrol hits market July. Federal government to save 7 trillion naira. Plant project exports Plant projects exports to 53 African countries, end to toxic fuel supply, Dangote. Buhari says refinery game changer. Emefiele projects 12,000 megawatts power. Of course, you have pictures of the commissioning yesterday and cover of the Punch newspaper. Now we have El-Rufai sacks 5 Cardinal traditional rulers. Again, suspected herders kill 18 in Benue. Lalong mismanaged plateau. I don't envy incoming governor, according to Jang, the former governor of Plateau. This day says Buhari with Dangote refinery, Nigeria would have excess refined petroleum for export. Optimistic Tinubu will sustain improved economic business environment. Emefiele, Dangote has repaid 70% of loan used in constructing facility. Says refinery will save Nigeria $30 billion forex, additional $10 billion inflows. Without CBN governor, this project wouldn't have seen the light of day, Aliko declares. Massive ovation for Africa's richest man. Dangote, first product from refinery to hit market end of July, vows to satisfy Nigeria's demand for all petroleum products this year. Mele Kyari pledges NNPC support for domestic refinery projects. Sanwo-Olu praises Buhari, Tinubu, Dangote. Obi is another milestone towards new Nigeria. Court declines article's request for live broadcast of proceedings. And above the masthead, we have Zubairu AFC boss explains how the world misunderstands the African market. Presidency releases list of Buhari's key achievements in 8 years. Says federal government embarked on most ambitious infrastructure programs since 1960. The closest air force acquired 38 aircraft, Navy 400 new platforms, 2,000 policemen recruited. That is on this day. You just log on to the website www.thisdaylive.com. And from the Guardian, we have Telco's rising revenue. I'm surprised. Uh, the Guardian is deviating from everybody's leading story today, and its big story says Telco's rising revenues, profits fail to reflect in quality of services. As you can see, telcos are actually cashing out every year. Of course, we have the picture of Dangote's commissioning. It says $18.5 billion Dangote refinery to release first products in August. Yes, that is all. For today's papers, is the same thing on Dangote's refinery. So, what is
Amazing.
the impact on Dangote's refinery?
Generally, the
Yes,
impact.
generally, yes. We just want
I
to
think
talk
is
about it.
talking about this is a good development. It's a good development when you look at the multiplier effect it will have on the Nigerian economy.
Yes.
You know, direct employment, direct job creation of by 100,000 multiplier effect, indirect job creation
So,
is about 150,000, which is massive for a single plant to have such impact on the Nigerian economy. And you can go on and look at how the economy of that Ijuleki area will be transformed as a result of the existence of that plant in that vicinity. Then you go beyond that. It will equally impact on Nigeria as a country. It guarantees our energy security as a nation.
yeah.
The fact that we no longer have to rely on Europe and America for refined products. We now have a plant
Right there.
in Nigeria owned by Nigerians that guarantees our desire for refined products. It's even produced enough for export. This plant for crying out loud is one of the most massive plants petroleum refining in the world. As a capacity of about 650,000 barrels per day. It definitely we have very positive impact on the Nigerian economy. And of course, we even hope not that the prices of petroleum products will be lesser because the analysis has been done, but at least there are some costs associated with carrying product into the country,
Yes, that would
which will be cut off.
get it.
No, so that alone means there are advantages to be derived from having the Dangote refinery come on stream, and hopefully within the next 2 to 3 years, as has been projected, it will be able to run at full capacity to the uh, advantage of the country. But beyond that, I have equally wondered as in why is it that an individual, a Dangote, can afford to build a refinery within 12 years, from scratch in a waterlogged environment, build one of the biggest refineries in the world, and the Nigerian government cannot manage 4 refineries: Kaduna, Warri, Port Harcourt. Why? It is estimated that in the last 20 years, the Nigerian government has spent 25 billion US dollars to maintain or do turnaround maintenance on these facilities. And yet,
how much? 12 billion.
12, I said 20 billion.
And yet, Dangote
20 is on record. 20 between 20 and 25 billion actually have been spent in the last 25 years on turnaround maintenance of these facilities. And yet, they have not been able to give us self-sufficiency or even contribute up to 5% of the domestic needs, for refined products in the country. So it's an enigma. It's something you cannot understand.
And yet, $18.5 billion was
built a brand new. The combined capacity of the 4 refineries we are talking about is not even up to Dangote refineries. So it shows you the massive corruption going on in the system. People need to answer questions, but unfortunately, who is going to ask them this question? Then you take it a little bit further. In 2021, you are a journalist. I'm sure you were an editor of one of the titles in your stable then. In 2001, if you remember, there was this cry by Nigerians, especially stakeholders in the oil industry, when the federal government released the sum of 1.5 billion for the turnaround maintenance. 1.5 billion US dollars for the turnaround maintenance of Port Harcourt refinery. Total turnaround maintenance. The question we should be asking is,
what happened to the money?
What happened to that money? That's about just 2 years ago. And government told us then, they would normally give the usual excuse that we can't just let this plant go to follow. We need idle away. We need to revamp them. We need to work on them. Why? What has happened? How far have they been able to carry out the turnaround maintenance? I was in a forum when the current GMD of NNPC, now NNPC Limited, said yes, that the refineries, especially Warri and I think Kaduna, will come on stream, will become fully functional within the life of this administration. What has happened?
And 6 days to go.
It's just the same way the Minister of Aviation is telling me that the Nigerian Air will fly. Of this administration, ridiculous, isn't it? Maybe it will fly in his dream. However, beyond that, we only look at why is it that a private individual is succeeding where government has failed. Is it that there's a deliberate? If you look at Dangote's business model, philosophy, logic, in all the businesses he has been involved in, he has always been an absolute monopoly.
Yes.
Is it that there's a deliberate effort within government circles or players in the industry or stakeholders who are supposed to make the Nigerian, the government own refineries to work? Is that they are deliberately sabotaging national refineries in the interest of the Dangote? So these are the questions. If Dangote says on this work, why is it that, irrespective of the massive investment the government has made in these 4 plants, these are questions we need to ponder. But we have to give it to Dangote. The good things in Nigeria that have been able to accomplish this feat. We should celebrate it. As we celebrate it, we should equally ask questions and do some level of introspection.
Yes, that's what I was just.
Government has failed.
I was going
delivering its own refineries.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Nigerians.
The leading question is, what happens to the Nigerian refineries now?
What
Now
happened now
that
is that
Dangote zone has come off stream,
what
and he has even said we
mm,
should expect the first
what is
refined
happening
product in
what
July.
is what is happening now is what we go on have. Those refineries will remain moribund.
And the
And
government
if
will continue to pay the
if
the workers.
of course they will remain are you not even aware? Last year there was a probe, although all probes that goes on in the
Always
national
end up in
end
the
up in the black hole, don't get the report. There was a probe last year by the House Committee on the downstream oil sector, where it was discovered that Warri Refinery was receiving crude allocation from NNPC.
then what happened to the crude? Crude that is not refined.
If you ask me, with Winifred, now who I go ask? They were
Wow.
receiving. They were. You go to search. Just do a simple Google search, or you'll be
Receiving
amazed. So we are saying,
steadily.
yeah, they were receiving crude allocation from NNPC. So the rot in the oil sector is mind boggling.
It is.
A refinery that me and you know has not produced 1 liter of fuel or diesel or kerosene or aviation fuel in the last 10 years was receiving crude oil allocation. So where was those crude oil allocation? Where were they going to? So that tells you the mind-boggling, the massive, the shameless, the unchecked corruption going on in the oil industry. So to answer your question directly, see, the four refineries have been, with the emergence of the Dangote refinery, they have become scrap.
Yes.
If Nigeria has sold those refineries when it needed to, they would have been able to realize
somebody suggested
because they cannot, even if you privatize, they cannot compete with Dangote that has excess capacity to meet your demand and even export. They can't compete.
So what happens at the end of the day? Will the government continue to leak? Will the pockets of the government continue to leak in order to just sustain?
Yeah, they should sell them as scrap. That's all. Because nobody will put good money there. Like Dangote did in, I think it's 2006, 2007, at the end of your passenger regime, when he bought, I think, Port Harcourt and Kaduna. You can't get.
And there was outcry during Yaradua.
Yes, and they reversed the sale. You can't get that value, that same value now. Those refineries are scrap. So I think the question
compared to state of the art one by Dangote.
Brand new, single train, privately owned. And
Will the labor allow the federal government to?
It's not about labor now. This is about a private sector investment. You cannot tell a
No,
private.
because we've seen a situation whereby they will down tools and grant the sector if so much and say,
what are you granting? Okay, as it is with a Dangote
with a
Dangote refinery, what are you granting? What is? Answer yourself the question. What is there to be granted?
It's true. There's nothing.
What are they grounding?
Because Dangote refinery.
Yes, meets the gap.
Yes, it's true. It's true.
So what are you grounding? So that power they wield in with the private player. And don't even forget, there's a PIA, there's a Petroleum Industry Act, which expectedly should come into full operation.
Yes.
Within the year, although they've been delaying the full implementation of the act. Many of these agencies of government that support, like you have BPMC, Petroleum Digitalization Fund, most of those agencies under a PIA regime are redundant. They are not needed.
They can't change nomenclature.
They can't function.
Their name.
So whatever is going to happen, we happen. So the power, the government held when it comes to the government and by extension, labor held in determining and dictating the pace of events within the area industry. We put down consideration. So you cannot say you want to rule government.
And don't you think another thing again that the Dangote refinery is going to do is going to bring transparency into the what PI is.
What I see, it will bring competition, not necessarily.
Yes, no. What I mean by transparency is that up to now, federal government has never been able to disclose how much Nigerians consume per day. Perhaps with this Dangote refinery, it will be able to. That's what I mean by.
Okay. Of course, it's certainly official. And of course, when the production cost is is market reflective in terms of what you pay for it. These are what it costs to refine the product. Many people will step back on their need and utilization of refined products. So obviously the consumption will come down, and the rate of smuggling,
yes.
which has because people say, those that have done the analysis will tell you that in Benin Republic, in Chad,
Yes.
in in Cameroon, that have studied the chart, they tell you that for months on end, this country, no fuel bearing vessel docks in the ports of this country. You understand what I'm trying to say? So the question is, how do they get their petroleum products? Every freight bearing petroleum product docks in Nigeria, non-docks in Cameroon or Benin, which means all the ones that docks in the ports in Nigeria are smuggled. You understand? So it shows that whatever we are consuming is equally what is being, whatever we are importing for consumption is equally what is being consumed in Cameroon, in Benin Republic, and they even transport it maybe from Benin up to Nigeria and China. So a significant amount of what is recorded against Nigeria as consumption is actually smuggled out of the country. So with the time we did it, I think that will significantly change, and the removal of subsidy.
Interesting. Really interesting. So what happens, like when you have situations of corruption, I always say corruption is fighting back. So what's going to happen? Of course, if you don't go and sabotage,
If they wanted to
sabotage,
if they wanted to sabotage it, they would have sabotaged it long ago. But the point is that I think there's a consensus between the ordinary man on the street and the Nigerian elite on one hand, and even the government across levels, whether at the national and sub-regional level. This thing called subsidy has to go. It's not in the interest of the country. Whatever will be the price at the discharge point should be reflective of market forces, because nobody is really benefiting from it. You can't have a country that is an oil producing country like Nigeria, and NNPC has not remitted in the last 1 year. It's dying into the federation. You can't run a country like that, whereby your revenue to debt ratio is 95%. The government, we are saying all this in the interest of our country. We are saying all this because we want the country to work. We are saying all this because we want the incoming administration to have a solid foundation to start on. Subsidy must be removed. The best time to have removed subsidy was in 2020. The next best time was in 2020, when you people were doing season 1 and season 2 of Save Nigeria March.
That's 2019.
Yes. So that then the economic fundamentals, the debt burden was not this heavy. The more we keep the camp forward, the more difficult it will be for us to move, and the more we put the economic foundation of this country at risk, because it's almost collapsing. You have to think about what it means for you to be spending 95% of your revenue on services. Service. So subsidy has to go so that you can free up resources for the development of the economy, for growth, develop the economy, to build infrastructure, bring the so-called democratic movement here to the people. That's the way to go. And I hope the incoming administration will have the wisdom to be able to manage the situation in such a way that it doesn't have the dire consequences
would you say that
on the economy as a whole.
Every successive administration that we have, when I say administration at the top level, they not be able to understand the oil sector, the workings of
They
the oil
do.
sector.
It's just that the corruption and those benefiting from it. When
But
you,
remember when this outgoing president came in, that even that when he protested in 2014,
that doesn't know what is
president-
subsidy.
exactly, that Nigeria is a subsidy is a scam. Then you're going to remove
But
whatever.
he has
At the
ended
end of
up.
the
He
day,
has ended up being
even-
scam. It's the Buhari is the
so that's
biggest
what I'm saying.
scam.
That is it that
that has
they
never
don't
happened.
really understand
They do. It's just that there are decisions
the
you
oil
need to.
sector.
There are decisions you need to take that needs a lot of political will. You need a lot of strong political will to be able to say, no matter whose box is God, I believe in this course of action and I'm going to pursue it and see it through. Not when you begin to look at interest groups, you begin to look at how your decision affects people, who is going to affect, whose interest you are trying to protect. That's where people miss it. Because there's so much mass when you have an industry where people, a lot of people, entrenched interests benefit from it to the detriment. You understand? So they have the money to corrupt. They have so much money they corrupt the system. They feed from it, and they don't want to let go. So that was what has been happening over the years.
Well, on this administration's scorecard, I think next week we will time for us to discuss it. I can't wait to have it. So, viewers, this is where we run today's Inside Nigeria for our breakfast show on television. Look forward to seeing you same time, same station tomorrow. Dr. Austin, thank you so much. I look forward to having you.
Always a pleasure to be with you.
Okay, I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio.